Hence fact checkers, Jesse. We need fact checkers to tell people not how to think. We don't want them thinking at all. We just want to tell them exactly what they need to be thinking at all times. And unfortunately, it's having an opposite desired effect. It's the reason why these podcasts are so successful. They know when they're watching The View, when they're watching CNN and MSNBC, that it's fake news. That fake news is not a conspiracy theory. It's factually what's staring them in the face. They're just echoing whatever the regime wants them to say.
As the calls for boycotting Joe Rogan get louder, unfortunately, so does conservative commentator Candace Owens. Welcome into TYT's Overruled. I am your host, Adrienne Lawrence. Spotify's highest paid host, Joe Rogan, has become a polarizing figure in the midst of this pandemic, particularly because of his spreading anti-vax misinformation. People have been responding in a host of ways. After Neil Young published an open letter saying Spotify must either end the vaccine misinformation on Joe Rogan's podcast or remove Young's music, the platform is in the process of removing the artist's catalog. Then, Joy Behar of The View shared her sentiments on the matter, basically saying that Rogan should be boycotted.
Joe Rogan has the most popular podcast on Spotify, and he's repeatedly spread COVID misinformation and invited guests on to do the same.
I agree that Joe Rogan is a horror. But the way to counter that bad speech is with more speech. The way to counter it is with boycotts. It's not a cancel culture, it's a consequence culture.
By early afternoon, the words canceled and Apple Music were trending on Twitter as people posted about canceling their Spotify subscriptions and returning to Apple Music. Now, Candace Owens is getting her say. The conservative host joined Jesse Waters on Fox News last night to give her take.
Do you think The View understands that their show is such a bigger source of misinformation than Joe Rogan?
I think definitely Barbara does, and that's why she's sitting in the chair going, whoa, 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 we don't want to start censoring it. We need more information, because she has peddled so many conspiracy theories, most especially during the Trump years. I mean, they were the head of the Russian disinformation campaign, so she knows she doesn't want to get bit by the same dog.
I had no idea The View was such a source of hard-hitting misinformation on Donald Trump.
Actually, all of this started the calls for his censorship, obviously, when he sat down with Dr. Robert Malone. And they're making it sound as if he's hosting conspiracy theorists. Dr. Robert Malone is the inventor of the mRNA technology behind the vaccines, and he was speaking out and telling people truths to make sure they have informed consent when they make decisions to have, vaccinations for their children.
This Dr. Malone has pitted himself as this courageous whistleblower, yet he's been simply spreading misinformation and really seems to just want to be spotlighted. There's a reason he's been booted off Twitter, and Rogan is his only large platform essentially giving him play. But do you, Candace?
The problem is that the Biden regime doesn't like it. The truth is getting out. And censorship is only something that is called for when they're losing control of the narrative, right? So when dictators and evil regimes are like, we have to control the population, they start calling for censorship, and they need to make sure that they're the only means of information, the only source of information.
I don't see Biden really much as a 1984 fascist, but Owens can go ahead and push whatever narrative will get her paid, even if it's getting people killed, I guess. It's rather funny to see how Owens is going so hard in the paint for Joe Rogan when he basically intimated that she's an uninformed riffraff when she was on his show showcasing her denial of climate change.
You don't think we have to care about the environment? Like,
No, not even a little bit. Do I believe in climate change? No.
You don't believe in climate change?
No.
Okay, but this is an incredibly complicated subject.
Right.
And if you would have to talk to a bunch of different scientists and see how they gather data and see what they understand about CO2 levels and what's the danger of them and what can combat it and what could not. Have you done all this, or do you take this flippant opinion based on the party line?
This wouldn't be the hill I died on.
So you think that the very few scientists that disagree with the consensus are the ones that are correct?
Well, I think if something is it's either subjective or it's objective, and there are objective truths, right? But it's subjective if you're saying that there are some, and I don't think there's very little. There are some that don't get paid to go on TV. There's some that are not Bill Nye.
In 2014, the vast majority, 87% of scientists, said that human activity is driving global warming, yet only half the American public ascribe to that view. So,
well, what website is
87%, and this is
Scientific American.
Yeah.
Yeah, .com though, like, 'cause that means it's making money. I don't trust that. If it was a .org, I would probably take that. But this is just a random website, and I don't
Scientific
trust
American is not necessarily a random website.
Yeah, I don't believe this at all. Just so you know.
You don't believe it at all?
It's embarrassing. Share your comments below, hit the like and follow button, and thanks for watching.